Hello, students of geography, and if you are studying class 10 and if you are doing the MBOS syllabus, then you will, by this time, I guess, you have learned about the first chapter from geography, that is resources. In that chapter, you have learned about the meaning of resources, the different types of resources, as well as resource planning. In this chapter, we will learn about one important resource or one important natural resource, that is land resources. So when we say land resources is part of the natural resources that is given to us by nature, and it is a very important resource as land supports natural vegetation, wildlife, communication, as well as transport system. Besides, land is also an important resource because it supports the livelihood and various activities of human beings. We know that India is the seventh largest country in the world, and it has the total land area of 3.28 million square kilometer. India is also a unique country because of its various physical landforms. It constitutes mountains, about 30% of it. It constitutes plateaus, which is about 23% of the total land area, and plains, which is 43% of the total land area. Besides these major landforms that India has, we also have the other landforms or other important physical features such as the Thar Desert, which is located in the northwestern part of India. We also have the two groups of islands, one which is in the Bay of Bengal, that is the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the Lakshadweep Islands, which is in the Arabian Sea, were also part of this total land area of India. As mentioned, the various landforms of India constitute mountains such as the Great Himalayan Mountains, the Western Ghats, and others. Then we have plateaus such as the Indian Peninsular Plateau, and we have landforms such as the northern plains of India, which constitute the major part of landforms in India. Now let us go to another important part of land resources, that is land use. Land was used in many ways, or there are different uses of land, and we need to classify these uses so that we will have a better understanding of the different land uses. Land use in India can be classified into the following categories. Number one, net zone area. By definition, the total area of land under cultivation is called net zone area. And in India, the net zone area is about 54%. This means that out of the total area in India, 54% is the net zone area, or 54% is the land which was used for cultivation. Another type of land use in India falls under forest. The present forest cover in India is only 22.57%, or around 23%. Whereas, according to the National Forest Policy in 1952, it stated that India should have at least 33% of the total area under forest cover. There are various reasons why the forest cover in India is only this much or is very less, but we will not do this here now. We will discuss this topic more in the chapters to come. Another land use in India falls under fallow lands. So what are fallow lands? There are two types of fallow lands. Number one, current fallow land. Current fallow land, they are those lands which have not been cultivated for 1 year or less than 1 year. It means these are those lands which have not been used for cultivation for 1 or less than 1 year. Another type of fallow land is other than current fallow land. These are lands which have not been cultivated between 1 to 5 years, which means they have not been used for cultivation between these periods. Next, land use in India falls under land not available for cultivation. As we have said earlier, that there are different uses of land. We know that land have not only been used for cultivation or agriculture, but for other uses. Let us see here. Land which were not available for cultivation. Number one, barren and wastelands. These are those lands which are unsuitable for cultivation. I guess from the words, from the terms you understand, because they were barren or they were infertile land, like the desert or rocky areas or land covered by rocks. So these are barren and wastelands which were not available for cultivation. Number two, lands which were put to other uses. Land were also put to other uses such as construction of buildings or settlements like towns and cities. Lands were also used for construction or setup of factories, industries. Land were used for construction of roads, railways, etc. So these are the lands which were not available for cultivation. And lastly, we have other uncultivated land. Besides land which were barren or wastelands or lands which were put to other uses, we have lands which were not used for cultivation because instead these lands were used for growing tree crops or tree plantations. These lands that were used for tree plantations are mainly for commercial purpose or for earning profit by growing trees. And then also we have uncultivated lands because these lands, instead of cultivating crops, they were used as pastures or they were used as lands for grazing the animals. So these falls under uncultivated lands. So here you have the various uses of land in India, and let me remind you that these data that I have given you here might not be accurate or might be different from the other data or sources, but for the purpose of understanding about the different land use in India, let us take this data that I have present here. So these are the 5 types or the 5 uses of land: net zone area, the forest, land under forest, fallow lands, lands which were not available for cultivation, and also other uncultivated lands. So here is a pie chart for the land use in India according to the year 2011. Again, let me remind you, this might not be accurate, but please just observe this diagram so that you will get the knowledge about the distribution of these different types of land use in India. So after learning about the different land use in India, now let us go to another subtopic, we can say, that is land degradation. So what is land degradation? Land degradation can be defined as the reduction in the productive capacity of the soil. We know that the soil is that part of the land or the upper part of the land which is fertile, and it is this soil that supports the growth of vegetation as well as crops. So by land degradation, it means that when the production or the productive capacity or the fertility of the soil has been reduced, then it is called land degradation. And let us see here, what are the various causes of land degradation in India? We will see point-wise here. And the various causes of land degradation in India can be given as follows. Number 1, overgrazing. Number 2, abandoned mining sites. Number 3, waterlogging. Number 4, mineral processing. Number 5, industrial waste. And number 6, faulty agricultural practices. Let us see each and every point here with picture, that you can have a better understanding of each cause of land degradation. So one of the causes of land degradation is overgrazing. By overgrazing, it means that when the number of livestock is too high, that these livestock, cattle and other domesticated animals, they destroy the land by eating away all the grasses and plants, and hence they make the soil bare or barren, and as a result of this, the wind and water erosion can take place easily in those areas or in those regions where there is overgrazing of land. So another reason for land degradation is abandoned mining sites. We know that mining is the process of extraction of minerals from the earth's surface, and these mining activities, it destroy the land surface, and not only that, it created deep scars on the land surface that makes the land in those regions or in those areas of mining to become useless, and hence cause severe land degradation. Here is a picture of one of the abandoned mining site that you can see here, that this portion of the land now become useless on account of mining. Waterlogging is another cause of land degradation. Usually when we see waterlogging, it means when there is excess water in the soil, and this happens when there is too heavy or very heavy rainfall, or when there is over irrigation of the farmlands. And we know that when there is excess water in the soil, it makes the water stagnant, and this stagnant water results in increase of salinity and alkalinity, or increase in the presence of salt in the water. And as we know, salt, or increase in the amount of salt, it can destroy the fertility, or it can reduce the fertility of the soil, and hence causes land degradation. Mineral processing is also a major cause of land degradation. We know that when minerals are extracted from the surface of the earth, they were sent to the industries for processing. And this processing of minerals can cause land degradation or can reduce the fertility of the soil. How? Let us take an example. When limestone is processed in order to be made into cement, there is a huge amount of, or huge quantity of dust that are released in the atmosphere during the processing of limestone. And when these dust settle down on the land, they infiltrate into the water and the soil, and hence can cause land degradation or can affect the fertility of the soil. One of the major causes of land degradation is industrial waste. We know that industries release huge amount of waste into the air, into water and land. And as you can see from this picture, these are the waste that has been released from industries, and most of these wastes are toxic, and hence they polluted the land and soil and is therefore the major cause of land degradation. Another major cause of land degradation is faulty agricultural practices, or we can call it wrong methods of farming. For example, in northeastern states of India, as well as in other hilly areas of India, people still practice shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation is also called jhuming. And as you can see from this picture, this is shifting cultivation. In this method, a farmer will cut down the forest, the trees, and then he will burn the trees, the branches of trees and leaves. And after a few days, he will plant or grow his crops. This method of farming not only destroy the fertility of the land, but is also a major cause of soil erosion. We know that the trees and vegetation, they hold the soil together, and without trees and vegetation, the soils become loose, and when rainfall occur or during the heavy rainy season, the topsoil cover, it gets washed away. And because of this, shifting cultivation or the wrong methods of farming is another major cause of land degradation. There you have it. We have learned the lesson on land resource, and we have also seen the importance of land resource, because as we have seen, land can be put in various uses, as we have seen in land use in India. Also, we have seen that even though land resource is a very important natural resource, however, there is still land degradation that happen. And we have also seen what are the causes, or what are the various causes for this land degradation or the loss of the fertility of the soil. So therefore, it is important that we recognize and appreciate the importance of land resource. As you can see from this picture, right on one side you have the dry and barren land, and you can see that tree is dead there, which means there is no life without soil or without land resource. And on the other side, you can see that when the land and the soil is healthy, life exists. So from this image representation, we can reflect the importance of land resource, and therefore it is also our duty to preserve and conserve our land resources.